What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 16 of Press YYZ, a video game podcast. This is your one-stop shop where we bring you all the best video game news and discussion with a uniquely Canadian twist. You can find us on Twitter at Press YYZ, where we appreciate all feedback you may have. We record this show in front of a live digital audience every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv/PressYYZ. This week, we're going to talk about what the near future of next gen is going to have in store for all of us. When are we going to get those sweet new game announcements, as well as some fresh new release dates? Finally, we'll wrap things up with Video Game Rehab on a series that I hold real near dear to my heart, Halo. I'm your host, baby boy Alex Ballant, joined by the creator of all the docs, Mitch George.
My internet hates me tonight, so I apologize in advance.
Great. We're in for a real good show, guys.
Oh, yeah.
I'm also joined by Head in the Clouds and the master of the innuendo, AJ Fraser.
Tony Hawk, more like giant innuendo.
Nailed it.
Yeah,
nice.
The French... I'm also joined by the French Connection and the master of all the buttons, Alexander Kozina.
I don't have any follow-up to this innuendo talk, but I do have a follow-up to the internet talk. I optimized OBS so that we shouldn't crash as much this time.
Oh, fantastic.
Ooh.
Yeah, we recorded the Final Fantasy VII Remake spoiler cast this weekend, and the episode itself was great, but our recording dropped out a couple times, so I worked to fix things.
That's perfect. And speaking of that Final Fantasy cast, it is available now on all podcast services. But I'm saving the best for last when it comes to our hosts, Nathan McInerney, who I don't have a nickname for today. I got your name right, so I think that makes
We're getting better at the name.
That's worth it. You know what? That's worth it. You know, I'm like the and at the sitcom when you're doing the TV intro because I'm that important. I don't mind.
Yeah, whenever you get credited with the and, it means that you're a very important name. So,
yeah.
So, how's everybody doing? What have we been up to this week? Did anyone die?
Stadia!
Whoa.
More Stadia!
You're the only person who's ever been excited for Stadia. Please go on.
I hear in the Kinda Funny community somebody started a Stadia podcast, and I have not listened to it yet, despite being the sole voice for Stadia. No, it's not me, surprisingly.
Are you going to be leaving us for that podcast?
I have considered
you guesting
it.
on it.
I have not received any offers yet. But I have not reached out, so that's probably on me.
Is the person who founded this podcast called Stadia Stanley? And does he have a Stadia logo for his user picture profile?
No, I don't think so. Maybe.
Probably not.
Do all of his tweets say sponsored by Stadia at the bottom of them?
Each one of these podcasts should.
If they want to, by all
does
means, let's get that
Google location
money.
on Facebook and Twitter list Google's headquarters?
He's not using Facebook. He's using Google. What was it? Google Plus?
Google Hangouts?
Yeah.
Oh,
Google
Plus back in the day. That was a fantastic service.
Oh, yeah. Another service that they pulled the plug on too soon, just like Stadia.
In all fairness, they let Google Plus go on way too long. That was not something they pulled the cord on too soon.
They tried so hard, but no. Anyway, I just brought up Stadia because I always do first and foremost. But I found it to be a very good. I don't have a very good laptop, and I find it to be a very good way to play games that, as long as I'm in a place where my internet can handle it, a very good way to just play a more modern looking game. And I also found that Grid, the racing game, is a very good podcast game because podcasts and driving go hand in hand. So podcasts and driving video games should also go hand in hand, and they do. So
who else has been neglecting their podcast feed since quarantine started? Because I know mine at this point is probably 45 hours of content I haven't listened to at this point.
Mine's somewhere like that. It's like 300 podcasts I haven't listened to apparently because I'm used to having at least an hour commute per day, and usually closer to 2 hours commute with the way I drive, and I listen to them at 1.8 speed to get through them quicker. So
oh wow. So I recommend booting up a race, just any sort of driving video game, and put it on in the background and just drive. I highly recommend that.
I don't drive very often. When I usually drive, though, I find that I can't really concentrate very well, whether or not I listen to podcasts or music. I tend to listen to most of my podcasts at home, so I'm actually pretty caught up with regards to most of that stuff. But there's always new stuff to listen to.
So I haven't been playing any racing games, but I did sink a bunch of time this week into Streets of Rage 4.
Ooh.
Oh
I've
my
heard good
God,
things
is this
about that.
game pretty?
I did watch the stream that you were on with.
Did you?
friend
Okay,
yeah,
great.
I watched a little bit of it while I was playing Fire Emblem, and you were surprisingly not the one talking all the time, for once.
Yeah, I know, because it wasn't my stream. I was being respectful. It's his place. But no, shout out to Spooner,
Yes.
part of that Kind of Funny Toronto community. Been jumping into his Twitch chat a lot, and he was super excited for this game. So his excitement sort of rubbed off on me, and I picked up the game, and we streamed it a bit earlier this week, and it was a blast. The hand drawn animations, all of the sprite work is hand drawn. It's beautiful. It looks amazing. Lots of really nice throwbacks to some of the older games, which I was not familiar with, that he is super familiar with. And it was just a blast. We had such a good time. It's one that I'm going to get back to. I have at least one bugged out trophy right now, which is going to haunt me for the rest of my life. So I will not get the platinum, I'm assuming. But
Ooh. Hate that.
it's not one I was going to get anyway, because I'm not that good at beat 'em ups. But it was nice to just play an old school kind of beat 'em up. And this actually leads itself into a fan question we got on Twitter from assemble_show on Twitter. What is one game you and a significant other would or have sat down and played during this quarantine or in the past? Any suggestions for something that both people can enjoy, even if they're not really a gamer? And my game with my fiance now is going to be Streets of Rage 4. I think she loves those old style, just very simple controls, beat 'em up kind of gameplay. And I think we're going to play a bunch of it over the next couple of weeks. It's just our hangout game. It's going to be great. Do you guys have anything like that? Anything you'd suggest to the audience?
There's this game that I've played a little bit of, and it's called Animal Crossing. It's great to play with
What's
your
your hour?
Of course you'd say Animal Crossing.
What's your hour count at this point now?
So I checked right before the podcast. I don't think it's as much as last week. I'm up to 360 now.
I've heard that's a very good console.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I'm done with Animal Crossing at this
Yeah,
point.
me too. I haven't played it in like a week and a half, probably more.
I've been out of it for at least 3 days, and I feel liberated at this point.
I
it
bought
was great.
I bought one inventory of nips this week. And
Can we call them turnips, please?
Nope.
Never.
I've still been tracking all week, and it was teasing me at the start of the week that it was going to be a giant spike, but now all of a sudden it seems to be constantly decreasing. So fuck this game.
So if anyone's got turnip connections, hit up AJ on Twitter at TimesHero. Help him out.
Capital T, capital H.
So anyone else got any games you'd play with your significant other in quarantine? Theirs was Overcooked, which I think could just end relationships during this.
I don't know that this is a game. This is a game that I would play now, but way back in the day, I had my sister help me out with a lot of the later levels in Super Mario Galaxy 2. She played the, disgruntledly named girlfriend mode in that game, where you were like manipulating objects and paralyzing boulders in place and whatnot, and she was greatly helpful. And in retrospect, I probably didn't express enough appreciation for her helping me out, so I just want to say thank you.
We should call her right now and tell her.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let me do that.
Are we bringing back the bit of
no.
calling significant
No, we're
others
not.
and family members while they're in the same building?
No, when
'Cause
we
if
do
that's
our
the case, I'll give my
100th,
mom a call.
we'll bring it back when we get to our 100th episode. That will be the way that we celebrate.
All right.
The only game I play with my significant other is stay 6 feet apart and don't touch each other, which is not a problem for me because I'm massively unloved.
That sounds like a terrible game.
Aw.
I'm
We
really,
love you.
I'm really,
we love you from at least 6 feet.
Yeah. I'm really sad about it. But you know what I'm not sad about?
What's that?
Halo 2 Anniversary came out on PC, and I played it.
Because of course it did.
I have already... So I hadn't played the Master Chief, because Steam does a really cool thing where it tracks how much time you put in a game in the last 2 weeks. Steam has just really good trackers for how long you put time into all of your games. It's actually an accurate counter, unlike the Nintendo Switch counter. But I hadn't played any hours before Halo 2 Anniversary came out. I have 8.5 already. And that was just from when it unlocked last night. I played it basically all night. I've been up all night And then I had an obligation this morning, so I went to that, and I've been up since then because I knew if I went to sleep, I would miss this very lovely podcast. So I'm really tired.
So when's the last time you slept?
Yesterday I woke up at 8 p.m.
Okay, that's not so
You
bad.
need
But
help.
yeah, I don't know. Everything sucks right now. So I've almost been up for 24 hours probably.
So this is going to be a great show.
Yeah, I really wanted to be on this episode though because we're going to be talking about Halo. But Halo 2 Anniversary is it's so good. It's beautiful. I've played it now. I have a 1080p monitor and I also have a 4K TV. I've played it on both of those. Halo 2 Anniversary looks beautiful in 4K. It runs really, really well at unlocked frame rates because one of the problems with when Halo 1 came out is if your frame rate was above 60, your aim would start to get affected by it. There was some bug with the game where Halo 2 seems to be devoid of that problem, which is awesome. That means I can run it at 140 frames. And it's so good. It's available on Game Pass. Play Halo 2. It's one of the greatest first-person shooters.
How have you gotten to a part with those nightmare sniper jackals yet?
I haven't played campaign yet because I want to stream it. I've only been playing multiplayer. And the multiplayer is just... Halo 2 is the fastest Halo, and it's so good. Like, I love it. Did you guys know I like Halo?
What What's Halo?
You with Halo, Nathan with Animal Crossing,
but
AJ with Stadia, Cozy with Easy Platinums, me with Pokemon. I guess.
Talk about that a
Pokemon
lot.
and
Power Rangers.
Pokemon and Power Rangers. That is my brand. Yeah.
I do love Power Rangers as well.
We've all got our things.
But yeah, I mean, just a little bit of a tease of what's coming up later in the show. Besides more Halo talk, is I'm going to actually kind of go into a little bit of detail why Halo means so much to me because I've been thinking about this quite a bit, and I actually think I've got a really good answer for that. So stay tuned for that.
Cozy, anything mean a lot to you this week?
Yeah, what else have you guys been doing?
Yeah, I've been playing and watching a lot of things. The two things I want to talk about today are Final Fantasy 13 and Core. I almost said Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I was previously playing, and once I completed Final Fantasy VII Remake, I was like, you know what? It's been a real long time since I last played Final Fantasy 13. I beat it, I grinded a lot after it, and then I abandoned it just when it seemed like I was going to go the final 10% to get that platinum. And man, I was hoping that it would take a relatively short amount of time for me to get that platinum, but it seems like I still have a lot of grinding to do. A lot of people don't particularly love this game. They view it as a overly long, overly linear slogfest. Yep. And I mean, I don't disagree with them on parts of that game. I will say though, there is a lot of really neat stuff to it. I think that its battle system, while inferior to Final Fantasy VII Remakes, has a lot of the DNA that we would later see in that game, and so I do want to tip my hat to this game for kind of coming up with some of the concepts that its successors would take from. Final Fantasy 13.
Isn't that the one? Isn't that the one that they said gets really good after like 30 hours?
I
wish so good they made a sequel.
You know what? In defense of 13-2, it's way better than 13. I hated 13.
So,
and I love 13-2.
I don't want to get into a big discussion right here and right now because I figure that, who knows, this might be something we might revisit at some point in the future. What I will say about 13 is I once read a really interesting academic article about Final Fantasy 13 that kind of pointed out how the whole plot of Final Fantasy 13 is that everybody lives in this bubble-like world called Cocoon above this wild and terrifying world called Pulse. And in Cocoon, everybody's lives are sort of led along by a string by these godlike beings. Mm-hmm. And so they were basically saying how, like, it makes sense that when you're inside Cocoon, the entire adventure is largely linear because it's sort of reflecting the kind of existence that everybody lives there. And when you get down to Pulse, which is where the game significantly opens up, it makes sense that it would open up because Pulse is just a wild zone where there are no laws or rules. I still think that at the end of the day, that doesn't forgive the game's larger issues, but it was an interesting thing that kind of got my mustache twirling as I read it. The other thing that I also have been dabbling in a little bit, and I don't have much to say about it today, I'll probably have much more to say about it next week, is Core. This is one of those create your own game kind of games. And the reason why I got into it is because recently Core announced that they were going to be collaborating with Kind of Funny on a game jam. And if you remember, a few months ago, I put out the second ever Casino for Kind of Funny Direct, where I talked about some of the projects I would want to do with Kind of Funny if I were to be selected as their up-and-comer. And one of the projects I proposed was a game jam, albeit using Dreams rather than Core. And so when I saw this, I'm like, well, I feel like considering that I was somebody who proposed this sort of idea, I'm kind of obliged to create a game of my own, given the parameters put forth by Core. So look forward to that over the next few weeks. The deadline is at the beginning of June, so I have a bit of time, but also I want to make sure that I don't leave things till the last minute either.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Very excited
Thank
to
you.
see what you can come up with.
Yeah,
Anyone want to hear my story of the IKEA desk from hell?
1,000,000%.
Okay, sorry, not a desk. It was a dresser. So in February, I decided I was going to replace an older dresser with a new one. I went out, I bought everything from IKEA. Actually, not true. My mom wanted the dresser back that I had because it was part of a set she was trying to get rid of. So she bought me a dresser. It sat just in my living room for months because who puts together IKEA furniture right when they get it? Those kind of people are monsters. So
Are you
it
calling
sat-
my wife a
well,
monster?
no, just everyone else.
Okay, that's acceptable.
No, I'm just calling myself a lazy ass and trying to come up with an excuse. So I decided a couple weeks ago while in quarantine alone that I would try to put this IKEA thing together.
Oh, yes.
That was a mistake because as I tried to put one piece of the dresser onto another piece of the dresser, the whole thing collapsed. Totally destroyed this one side of the dresser. I had to get on the phone with IKEA customer support, deal with that for like 3 hours, which is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
They say, okay, we're going to send the part. I don't hear anything for like 2.5 weeks. And then just randomly get a phone call from a courier being like, hey, we dropped your part off. It's like, what? From a customer service perspective, it doesn't make any sense. Like, tell people when their shit is coming. No emails, no nothing. It was just a random phone call from a guy on a Tuesday. But I got the piece and we put the dresser together and now it works great. But for like 2.5 weeks there, I just had a bunch of IKEA pieces just laying around in my living room. So now there's just so much more room for activities. It's great.
Like what type of activities?
Wow.
Well, Carmen just finished up a yoga class, remote yoga class with her gym.
Ooh.
I was going to get back in a Ring Fit Adventure, and that's the right space for me to do that in. So yeah, we have room to do things in front of our living room table now, which is nice. And I have somewhere to put my clothes that is not the floor.
When Carmen builds you a computer, you should look into investing in a VR headset and get a full room setup for it.
But
That
I've got
would make a lot of
PSVR. Why
sense.
do I need another one?
Yeah.
Because it might be better.
But
It might
you can't
be
get
better.
you can't get a game that we're going to talk about later on other VR headsets, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Teasing for laser. What news came out this week around PSVR? I don't know.
Nothing specific or exciting.
Well, speaking of news, I think that's a pretty good segue because unless anyone else has anything else they'd like to add, no?
Wait, I do. Quickly.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
All
right.
I just want to say that I reviewed Super Mega Baseball 3, and it's excellent, and you should go play it. And you should check out the review at ps4blog.net. So,
All right.
go ahead. Sorry. Okay, keep going.
Oh, yeah. No worries. I think with that, we can transition into the news. I'm going to give myself a pause for the theme song.
Ready, set, go. News drop.
Perfect.
Way to break the
Okay.
fourth wall and tell everyone what we're doing.
Because see, that's
Don't cut that part out.
Live podcasting, everybody.
That was part of the joke. Okay, so with the news, because Mitch puts together the doc every single week and he chooses most of the stories, I'm going to let him take over for the news.
It has nothing to do with you having no sleep.
100% no. I am perfectly fine.
I will say, though, for last week and this week's show, and for probably all of them moving forward, I do have, Mitch's little helper on the news. So shout out to Monarchy, who's been helping out with putting together some of these news stories.
Oh, I
Very
thought you were
much
talking
appreciate
about
it.
something else when you said Mitch's little helper.
No. She's listening on the couch.
Yeah, it's like, is this like your weird elf that helps you build the toys that you bring to
No,
everybody?
it's a wonderful member of our community that helps me when I miss stuff. And that's why the news is like 45 articles this week. First story, we've got a digital game showcase roundup. We had a bunch of new stuff get announced this week. First of all, being that Unreal Engine 5 is a thing, and it looks amazing. And Sony hasn't had to advertise the PlayStation 5 once, and they've shown more gameplay than Microsoft for the Xbox. But I'll digress. So most of this information being pulled from gamesindustry.biz from Rebecca Valentine. And yeah, Unreal Engine 5 looks dope. Game developers are going to make it look amazing. I cannot wait to see what WB does with the next Batman game, because we all know what's going to happen. It's going to happen in this engine, and I'm going to be so happy. But yeah, AJ, you wanted to talk a bit about how Microsoft kind of dropped the ball on their info dump, and why Epic seems to have done it the right way.
Yeah, I mean, so they, go figure. Microsoft drops the ball, and then something Sony related picks it up immediately and runs with it. Last week Microsoft's presentation was as Aaron Greenberg said, they made they set the wrong expectations for what it was. Alex, I think you were going to look up the definition of gameplay.
That was going to be... I didn't do that for the episode itself. I just literally... Because I thought it was more fitting that when Mitch... Because Mitch said in last week's episode, he was like, I'll leave a pause there, unless nothing happens. And so I just thought it was like perfect that there was nothing that happened. So, but yeah,
we saw in-engine of AC Valhalla, but
they have a very, very loose definition of what gameplay is. Yes, we did see some in-engine stuff, but they were more trailers versus what people were expecting when you say we're showing gameplay.
Yeah, some stuff looked like it was the canned animations that somebody was hand animating, but just pushing go on like the controller animations, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Like somebody pulling the left trigger to aim down sights. That looked like it could have been in game, but it sure. There were a handful of games that they showed in this thing. Bright Memory Infinite, that was the first one. I got very big Killzone 2 target render vibes, if anybody remembers that from the PS3 era. Go ahead.
No, I don't have anything more to say than just
The game itself looks kind of like that mixed with Bulletstorm, mixed with Titanfall in some weird ways, which it looks interesting, but it wasn't gameplay. Then they showed Dirt 5 by Codemasters. It looks like realistic cars in a slightly uncanny valley setting, if that makes sense. Which means we're making progress, because it no longer looks quite video game. It's entering into the uncanny valley, if assuming that's true and in-engine and everything. Then they showed Scorn, which is this weird organic sexual wetness penis looking stuff.
I thought it was an Alien game when they were first showing it off, to be honest.
Actually, hold on. I need to correct myself. I believe it's HR Giger, not Geiger.
I'm not sure.
I'll go look it up.
Wasn't that game
this is
also
very important.
already announced like 2 years ago as well? And they
this was it coming back.
They re-announced it, I guess, but that one did not.
But it was also just a CG trailer as well, so we learned nothing about what
that
the game was.
So
that was
let's get it back. Let's get it back to Unreal Engine 5 and a lot of what they.
Before we get back to Unreal Engine 5, I just want to confirm that it's HR Giger.
Okay.
Cool. I do want to say I want to say the best looking game we've seen from Unreal Engine 5 thus far is Hellblade 2. Senua's Journey or whatever it is. Senua's Sacrifice?
No, Sacrifice was
the first one.
Hellblade 2 looked amazing when they first showed that off. Like balls to the wall. Oh my god, this is what next gen looks like. And then everything from Microsoft looked kind of meh, in my opinion. Senua's Saga. Thank you, Monarchy.
That's it.
And now understanding that yes, Hellblade 2 is going to leverage UE5 totally makes sense why that looks so damn good.
So in this UE5 video itself that they showed, like, though, if I were to pick one thing out of it, and I think I mentioned it in our own private chat about it, that didn't quite look right, that would be like the water. But that's because everything else around it looked so incredibly good that the water, it's like, and you could tell they spent maybe 3 seconds talking and looking at the water, and then everything else was just, all the dynamic lighting and the how the rocks look and all the triangles.
The other interesting thing that came of this is I read after the fact that this was a team of 20 people that worked on this demo for like 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
If that small of a team can put together something like this in that amount of time, imagine what a AAA studio is going to do with this engine.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing I wanted to mention is that projects built for Unreal Engine 4 will be compatible with Unreal Engine 5, so it sounds like they're making forwards compatibility a lot easier this go round with upgrading to the new engine. As well as they've announced that Fortnite will be an initial launch title for the next-gen consoles and eventually will be upgraded to an Unreal Engine 5 version of Fortnite, as well as they're waiving all royalties on Unreal Engine games up to the first $1 million USD in gross revenue, which is
just about to get
incredible.
To that. Yeah, I saw some people on Twitter speaking very highly of this.
And then finally, they announced Epic Online Services, a free SDK integration, so you can use your Epic account to sign in across multiple devices, presumably to make cross-play a little easier for games in the future. But
that would be nice.
Honestly, all this stuff from Epic today was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great that Epic's still, they're doing things to keep pushing the industry forward as well as having the huge cash cow that is Fortnite. I'm glad that Fortnite isn't limiting their creativity and what they're doing.
Yep.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And so this came about from, if this is what we're getting initially out of Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, I'm very much looking forward to what the next few months do, show us. But what we have seen already from Summer Game Fest is the first announced game, which is a remaster of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2.
Ooh.
Okay, hold on a second. Just a second. I don't want to take away from all of your excitement for this game. I'm sure that it's going to be great, and I'm really happy that you guys are happy. I will say, on a general level, I'm a little bit annoyed by just how many events are happening now throughout the summer. So, to give a little bit of behind the scenes here, you guys, a couple of days ago, were like, oh man, we should go and totally do a watch along of this announcement. And I was asleep at the time. And I remember afterwards being like, hey guys, I'm sorry I'm asleep. But also, man, there are too many of these events happening right now. I wish that they would consolidate things a little bit more.
I mean, Jeff Keighley is doing some of that. So the only reason I knew this was happening ahead of time, other than Twitter, is if you go to the Summer Game Fest website, there is a calendar you can subscribe to. And he literally updates it with everything. So today he updated it, adding the Ghost of Tsushima State of Play, which Sony's announced is going to be happening Thursday.
Oh, never mind.
Well,
don't worry.
He can figure his stuff out. So they've announced, so Sony announced a State of Play focused on Ghost of Tsushima for Thursday. If we have anything we want to add to the show, we will do so here. And if there wasn't anything we really need to add, it's just more Ghost of Tsushima. Great, game looks awesome. But it seems like Jeff Keighley is trying his best to stay on top of all of this, knowing that things are going to get a little scattered and just trying to consolidate it in one place. So hopefully we can leverage that tool moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Can you hear me?
So we can hear you.
Can't see you.
We can hear you.
We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Yeah. It looks like my camera's still working, but it's not. Discord just seemed to fail, and then it booted itself right back up.
Is not being able to see AJ the optimal way to deal with AJ?
I mean, my profile picture is still there, so you can still kind of see me.
The problem, too, is we also have these things called audio listeners who have no idea what's going on right now, and all we're doing is talking about video on Twitch they're never going to see.
That's absolutely okay. I'll allow it.
Okay. So, Tony Hawk. Who is excited for this other than me? Because I know I'm super excited buying this day one. Oh my god, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 are back. I'm so happy.
Okay, so
have they said how much this is going to cost?
$40.
It is a $40 in the US. I think it's 60 Canadian.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
It's in line with the Crash and Spyro remasters that came out a few years ago.
I thought it might.
Yeah, it's done by the same developer as Crash.
Yeah, I believe so. Last annoying question for now. Can you buy the games separately?
No, it's a combined package.
No, it is a single package.
See, if I could buy just one or two separately for $20, I would consider buying it just to try it out and let you guys know what I think. Because I don't have much experience with this series, and I want to give it a shot.
The nice thing about it, and I would be willing to do this for you, is when you pre-order the game, you get early access to a demo of one of the most iconic levels from
Warehouse.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1, which is Warehouse. So if they make that publicly available, you should definitely check it out. If they don't, either myself or Nathan will have a code for the early access to the demo. I'd be happy to lend it to you so you can see the light and enjoy this sweet, sweet Tony Hawk goodness, especially that soundtrack. And the game is set to launch in early September. I don't know the exact date. I think it's September 5th, but I could be totally wrong.
Do we know that the soundtracks are going to be the same as they were in the original games? Because I know that was one of the things people were saying was like, oh, these games might not ever get to be remastered because of licensing issues. Do we know if the soundtrack?
Some of the songs are going to be there, not all of them because of licensing issues. They're trying to get as many as they can apparently for it, as well as they're bringing moves from Tony Hawk 3 into 1 and 2, because one of the problems with 1 when you go back and play is the manual doesn't exist, which was created in number 2.
Yep.
And that was what helped you chain all your combos for long periods of time. So,
and then the other thing they're adding to 1 and 2 that existed in 3 is the reverb, which was introduced in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, which is another tool to use to chain together your tricks.
Yep.
So that's probably lends itself a bit to why they're calling it 1 and 2 remastered, but the way these games are set up, you can basically just go in and play whatever level in whatever mode. And I'm guessing that that's more along the lines of what we're going to get, as opposed to, if you look at the Crash or Spyro remasters we got, there were 3 succinct games within the package. This one sounds like it's going to be a little more blended than that package or those packages. September 4th. Sorry,
can I tell you about my fears?
Hey, AJ's back.
Hey,
damn it, he's back.
It's a different camera. I don't know why that shut off, but continue.
So Vicarious Visions, who's dealing it, they did the Crash remaster, correct?
That is correct. They did that, and then I think Bob Plays Games did the Spyro remaster.
Okay. So that's a good team, so I'm looking forward to it. However, Activision has already released Tony Hawk HD, Tony Hawk Pro Skater HD back in 2012, which was not good, and it was a remake of 1 and 2, which is very similar to this. And they came up with Tony Hawk 5, which I looked on the PlayStation Store, is still selling for $79, which was a dumpster fire when it came out. So I really hope they have it fixed this time.
The big question, though, that came up in the chat from our friend Nate Plays Games, go check him out at Nate Plays Games on Twitch, is PS4 or Xbox One or PC? Where's it going to be?
GameCube.
You're wrong.
Well...
You cannot play a Tony Hawk game not on a DualShock controller.
Oh, yeah, it'll be PS4.
You absolutely can.
You shouldn't.
Because, excuse you, Mr. Control Sticks are in the wrong spot.
Actually...
They are, but the D-pad is perfect.
I really like the DualShock for Tony Hawk, but the Dreamcast controller for it is just... Mwah.
Can I play it on the Tony Hawk Ride controller?
No.
I was going to just say...
I hope so. I mean, if I get it on PC, maybe I can.
Dude,
I could jerry rig it
someone will mod the PC version to work with the Ride controller. I guarantee it.
There's another stream.
If I can somehow acquire one, I still have to do the Steam controller stream.
Yeah, you and your weird controllers. But before you get to your weird controller streams, what will be streamed in June is an event coordinated by our very own friends over at Kinda Funny and the Media Game Exchange. They're partnering together on what they're calling the Guerrilla Initiative.
This has nothing to do with Guerrilla Games, right?
Yeah, I thought that was a weird
No, it does
name.
not.
Okay.
Even though their logo kind of looks like the Guerrilla Games logo.
Yeah, it very much confused me.
Sorry,
when I first saw it.
Guerrilla Collective Live. So my computer is not loading articles. I'm having to load them all on my phone just for clarity. So I'm a little slower getting to it. I apologize.
I thought you were just being rude.
Oh, I'm definitely being rude. But it looks like this is going to consolidate a few different things that were planned. So Kinda Funny was planning their E3 showcase of indie games. The PC gaming show is going to be a part of this as well. So it sounds like it's a multi-day event to just bring together a bunch of different outlets and publishers and developers and show off their stuff. And one more thing to be excited for in early June the 6th to be exact. As well as Ubisoft has announced their Ubisoft Forward event for July the 12th. So there's where you're getting your Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay, not the Xbox event. Sorry
I'm
to say.
currently displaying on screen a bunch of the games that you can expect to see at the Guerrilla Collective event.
Anything stand out to anybody?
I gotta be honest, not really. But I'm sure that they'll be great.
More than anything, and this is for the Ubisoft event, I hope we get to see some more Watch Dogs Legion, as well as I'd love to know a release date for that game, because I'm actually more than anything, I'm just interested to see is that game smoke and mirrors, or is it actually legit what they've been pushing for it? Because if it's even close to being legit, it could be a game changer in the way that AI and procedural generation is done. I'm really interested in it.
Actually, you know what? So there's a company called Wings Interactive, which is working on a game, collaborating on a game at least, called Later Daters. This is a game where it's like you're a person that enters into an old resident's home and basically is able to date other old people. And I don't
like
really have a whole lot of interest in its subject matter, but if it's coming to PlayStation 4 or 5, you know that it's going to have a pretty easy trophy list. So
You and your goddamn platinum trophies.
I'm hoping that they'll announce the release date for it.
I kind of really want to play that now. That sounds excellent.
Reminds me of Dream Daddy.
Yeah, I was just thinking about Dream Daddy.
We're gonna have to wait a while to play games like that. But what we're not gonna have to wait for are Nintendo fiscal year 2019 results. Yay!
Nintendo made a lot of money. Who would have thought?
Nintendo sold a
Wow.
lot of games. So 18 first-party Nintendo games sold at least 1 million copies in 2019. This coming from
crazy.
Nintendo Life's Ryan Craddock.
Some of these games are games that have been out for the entire generation of the Switch as well, and the fact that they're selling this many units is kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm. So the 18 games: Pokemon Sword and Shield, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Luigi's Mansion 3, Super Mario Maker 2, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Breath of the Wild, Link's Awakening, Super Mario Party, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Super Mario Odyssey, Fire Emblem Three Houses, Ring Fit Adventure, Splatoon 2, Pokemon Let's Go, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, and Astral Chain. All sold more than 1 million units in fiscal year 2019.
Astral Chain
crazy
sold
is
that
that?
many? Really?
Astral Chain and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 each sold 1.08 million copies in fiscal year 2019.
Well, I just bought the Marvel Ultimate Alliance, so I believe that.
Yes. It's
Do you
so
think
good.
that we might yet see a new 2D Mario game in the vein of New Super Mario Bros. U? Or do you think that New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe and Mario Maker 2 kind of close the door on that?
I think the door's closed on it. I think we're more likely to get an Odyssey sequel than we are.
Yeah,
I
I
hope so.
don't think it's time to go backwards to 2D Mario unless it's like a throwback level or something like that.
But 2D Mario isn't going back. 2D Mario has been a staple of Nintendo's first-party portfolio for the last...
And that's why we
10
have Mario
years.
Maker.
Yeah. If we get a 2D
But
Mario
it's
again,
not the
they need a
same.
complete like reinvention of it. It can't be the same art style. They need to give me.
Yeah.
They need to do something different with 2D Mario to bring it back, and it's not just like a new power up. It needs to be a reinvention of the new Super Mario Brothers franchise, or something different.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. It needs to be something different. They need a new art style. They need to bring something fresh to it, but knowing Nintendo, they're going to do it, and they're going to hit it out of the park. And it's going to be another million unit seller for the Switch.
What if they made it out of paper?
Like a Paper Mario.
They tried that on the Wii, and
there's an
people
idea.
didn't like it.
It could work.
People didn't really like Super Paper Mario, even though that was a mix of 3D and 2D.
Yeah, but
It
people
didn't
like
resonate
the
the
original
same way.
Paper Mario.
I actually like Super Paper Mario.
Oh, God.
I like that one too.
Yeah.
Nate plays games in the Twitch chat, a 2D Mario Cuphead style with that same level of difficulty.
Nah, you'll turn
Kill
too
me
many
now.
Luck. Yeah.
It needs to be a little more... I'd love to see it. Don't get me wrong, but it needs to be more accessible than
I would love to see Mario in that art style.
Yeah, I think it'd be a fun art style. And don't get me wrong, I want difficult Mario levels because I crave for those, but they need to be like the end game level for like the people
Yes.
who are the best.
You want to hear something else that's crazy that came out of this Nintendo fiscal results?
Yes.
Sure.
Animal Crossing New Horizons in like 2 weeks became the 7th best selling Nintendo Switch title, selling 11.77 million units worldwide.
And we all hate it.
It's what?
We we've all enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think most of us are waning on that, at least on this cast. I know a lot of people are still in there every day. Gary Witt is still making moves. He's got
Yeah.
T-Pain on the show tonight, Danny Trejo on tomorrow, Elijah Wood. Dude's killing it.
Yeah.
But what's funny about this is when we were talking a while back, I don't remember if this was on the show or if it was just us in chat, about where we thought Animal Crossing might fall in the Switch top 10. And I figured it was going to fall somewhere around, either just above or just below Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu. As of 2 weeks or 3 weeks into it being on sale, it's only 200,000 units behind Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee.
Yeah.
For 7th
It's
on the top 10 list of Switch titles.
My understanding is it's surpassed the lifetime expectations in the 6 weeks that it's been out.
It's
sold
blown
more
them out of
than
the
what
water.
They thought it would sell in the lifetime.
Man, I wonder if
think
Nintendo kicks itself sometimes for not trying to greenlight a anime series in the vein of Pokemon for Animal Crossing. There was a Animal Crossing anime movie many years ago that was never adapted into English.
I heard about this.
And yeah, I wonder if that's something that they're like, man, we could have like been that much more popular than we already are today.
Yeah.
With something of that nature.
Yeah.
One last thing I want to ask you guys. So right now, Animal Crossing at almost 12 million units. Smash Lifetime is at almost 19. And Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is at almost 25 million units. Do you think Lifetime that Animal Crossing could surpass either of those games?
Yes.
To make it into the number 2 or number 1 slot?
I think so.
I think Smash. I think Smash.
You think
maybe
it'll beat
not
Smash?
Mario Kart. I think Mario Kart's kind of definitively going to be the top Switch game.
I'm going to be interested to see how this sells next month, or like what the trend looks like, because there's a huge spike just based on the social media push or this grassroots campaign that everyone just got really into Animal Crossing during the quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be interested to see what the sales numbers look like in subsequent months, because I don't think it's going to maintain this level of like anyone that wants this game because of what's been going on and the social media fervor around it probably already owns it. So I don't know how many more units there still are out there to sell. That's the only thing.
We'll see.
We will. And another thing we're going to have to wait to see is the brand new branding around Sony first-party games on the PS5, which is going to be known as PlayStation Studios. Did y'all get a chance to check out that animation?
It looks so good.
Is this just going to be the Nintendo seal of approval for PlayStation?
This is
Yeah,
going
I
to
was
be similar to what
confused by this.
Microsoft last year released this intro cinematic for what is going to be their Xbox Game Studio games of just like it is a Marvel Studios style reel of
Got it.
different images in the logo, and then the logo comes up. They're doing the same thing here, just branding Sony first party games as PlayStation Studio titles, which I think is going to be great for them moving forward, because SIE is like
Yeah, it makes
It
like
sounds too corporate.
only dorks like us will know that Sony and PlayStation are the same thing.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense to like focus your messaging to just be, hey, no, PlayStation. Don't worry about anything. It's PlayStation. Play it here.
It's really smart branding. I'm really happy that Ratchet and Clank was included because it means that there's going to be more Ratchet and Clank going forward.
not necessarily.
Probably.
It's just there's
I
a lot of
believe
history
that
behind that franchise.
There's definitely going to be a new Ratchet and Clank game. The fact that Insomniac has
I really
multiple
hope so.
studios and one of them's in North Carolina, they're probably the ones making a new Ratchet and Clank.
PS5 launch
Like,
game.
It's got to be.
Oh
I
my
wouldn't be
god,
surprised.
I would buy a PS5 day one if there's a Ratchet game. You guys
wouldn't
can
be-
hold me to it.
I wouldn't be surprised because the last game that they released was in 2016
Yeah.
with the Ratchet and Clank from that year. So it's been enough time that we could very easily see that from Insomniac.
The other
So-
interesting thing is what is the? I know that. Sorry, Cozy. Just
Well, I just want to say, I just rewatched the graphic on my screen and let everybody else in the Twitch chat watch it as well. Apparently, Sackboy was also displayed in that graphic.
Oh, love me some Little Big
Yeah,
Planet.
I love Little Big Planet.
Do we think that we're going to see a resurgence of Sackboy in some fashion, though? Or
Yeah, he's going to be made in dreams.
I don't think so. I think I think what they're going for there is just here are the iconic PlayStation characters you would resonate with showing Ratchet, with showing Sackboy. I wouldn't say it's necessarily indicative of it coming back, but we'll have to wait and see.
But most importantly, did they show any PlayStation Battle Royale? Or also
They should have.
Oh, the best. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, like the definitive PlayStation game.
Yeah.
Could you call it Battle Royale today? Or would that have to be a completely different game?
That's a good point. I
Yeah.
never thought about that.
You would have to you would have to rebrand it because it's not a battle royale. Battle royale has changed since that
But
game was
what if
released.
Smash Brothers Battle Royale, 100 players, survival, one stock?
hell.
Think about it.
That is the future of PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale.
did
It is
it.
as a
We
battle
did it.
royale on PlayStation 5 launch title. Lock it in.
Real
Yeah,
talk.
you heard it here
I think
first.
that
Confirmed.
if they ever make a PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale 2, it has to be PlayStation and then a word that's like kind of esoteric but sounds really cool, like PlayStation Solemnity PlayStation Insurrection, something like that.
Yeah, we'll
Anyone?
have to. No.
Oh.
Cozy this.
We'll workshop it over the break, and we'll.
At the very least, I think that they need to keep the
Chat
title
is saying
short and
PlayStation
sweet next time
Infinity, but I
around.
feel like Infinity has a bit of negative connotation around video games with what happened to Disney. So probably want to stay away from that branding for at least the next 5 or 6 years.
PlayStation Exogenesis.
God damn it! I had the bet. Okay, so if we have to
Halo
stay away
Infinite.
Let's talk about games that are actually coming out.
Speaking of having to stay away from things for the next little while, here are some things you won't have to stay away from in some new announces and release dates. So Iron Man VR, thank God, has a new release date. It is coming to the PlayStation VR on July 3rd. Thank you. Thank you. I cannot wait to just sit down and get lost in that. The Mafia Trilogy Remaster has been teased. We'll probably get more information before this goes live, but it's set to come to PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga has a release date. It will release on October 20th. Yay!
500 characters in that one.
Do we
Honestly,
think that October 20th release date might coincide with the release of some other Star Wars property? Like,
I
for
was
example,
thinking a
The
release of a
Mandalorian
console,
or...
I wouldn't be surprised if it was like Mandalorian.
Isn't the Mandalorian coming out sooner?
Mandalorian is yeah, I was going to say, isn't that summer?
Yeah.
I didn't think it was, it might be fall. I don't know.
I would have just assumed it would have coincided similarly to how it was last year.
Honestly, though, the 3 games we gave dates to today, so Tony Hawk, Iron Man VR, Lego Star Wars, are all probably Game of the Year contenders for me.
Yeah.
At least personally. Those are all games I'm very, very much looking forward
In
to.
a year with Cyberpunk, The Last of Us, and others, those somehow speak out to us.
They come to the top.
Yep.
You know what isn't going to speak to all of us, because AJ put this in here and I don't know why. The Xbox Game Bar for PC now has a calculator and a web browser, just like your PC does.
What are they doing, guys? Are they testing out new things? Are they going to upgrade operating systems on their next console? Are they playing around with that sort of stuff? What are they doing? It's a sign, guys. It's a sign.
And we're moving on to...
I think they want to get in with the hip and hop teens that want to spell boobless on their Xbox.
Hell yeah.
And we're moving on from the news to It's Raining Deals. I pulled a couple together this week from the PSN Extended Play Sale. A Way Out is on sale for $12, normally $40. And that gets you get a buddy pass for that, so you can play with a friend online without them having to buy the game, which is very cool. I didn't either. If you're interested in it, I'm curious if I'm going to pick it up in this sale and find a friend to play it with. So maybe we could stream it.
That would be dope. I mean, I don't have a way to stream PS4, but you know.
Yeah, you do. Twitch. It has built in.
Oh, I guess, but
then only one of us could stream it. We'll talk about it. Another highlight is the game I want to pick up for if you have, loved ones that you want to piss off by playing a multiplayer game together. Duck Game is on sale for $6.64 on the Canadian PSN, down from $17.50. And Undertale, which very rarely goes on sale, is 30% off this week as part of that sale. So if you're interested, go check those out.
Undertale, worth a play, in easy platinum. Super easy platinum.
I'm thinking about it for that reason.
You just have to give the dog money. That's all I'm going to say. That's all you have to do. All the trophies are related to that, if I remember correctly. But it didn't take me long. No multiple playthroughs. Worth doing.
And with that, I think I can, hand the show back over to Alex so we can talk about Halo for the next hour.
Okay. So, yeah. We finally made it. We're ready to finish the fight. And Halo is a pretty cool guy, and he doesn't afraid of anything. Am I right?
Oh my god, you just sent me way back, dude.
For those who
you
might
are
not
so
be aware,
sleep deprived.
For those who are not aware of that reference, there was a 4chan post that talked about Halo, and he's a pretty cool guy. He shoots aliens, and he doesn't afraid of anything.
What if Metroid was a girl? Think about it.
So I don't have much to contribute to this discussion because my experience with Halo is very limited. But in a little bit into this discussion, can I read off some Squirrel King's fanfics on the Halo series?
Go for it.
Let's wait and let's get to that. But
We're not getting weird till the end of this.
I just said somewhere in this discussion. I'm not saying right now.
I don't know what that is, but I am very excited about it.
I'm not.
That's a promise you have made to me, and you can't take it back now.
Remember Naked Punch-Out? He brought us Naked Punch-Out. This is not going to end well.
Are we going to be allowed to stay on Twitch?
I hope
No.
so. So,
It's been
Halo.
nice knowing y'all.
So, video game rehab for Halo. There's a new Halo game coming out this year, and I, for one, am very excited about it. But I'm also really, really cautiously optimistic about it because we've seen literally nothing but 2 trailers that have no gameplay in it whatsoever. But to reel it back a little bit before we get into what we are hopefully looking forward to with Halo Infinite, I want to ask, because I know it's going to be very limited, what is everyone's experience with Halo? I will start with the obvious answers. Nathan, what is your experience with Halo?
What's a Halo?
It's a weapon.
Is it actually?
Is it a ship?
Yes.
I think it's a ship. Isn't it a ship?
I thought
It's
it was
the
that
ring.
ring.
It's the
Yeah.
ring. Yeah.
That
Which is also a weapon.
I think I might have played
Huh.
it once at somebody's house once.
Okay, so very, very, very limited experience to Halo.
Yes.
Like, and you're just kind of generally unaware of it. Like, you haven't really like seen any of it, any of the games.
Like I know that there's Halo 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and there's something called Reach and another one.
Okay.
I'm aware of
ODST.
the series. I've just never played it. I know that like they had the anniversary collection and that kind of came out and wasn't great, and they fixed it over time. That's good to hear. For the Xbox One, like I'm aware of the saga of Halo in terms of its releases and issues and what's going on with it, but in terms of the gameplay, there's a thing called a Warthog. Is it a Warthog? Am I saying that right? That you drive
Yes.
around.
It's
There's
actually
also
a
a
Puma.
Forge.
So like it's very limited.
This is gonna be a lot of deep cuts.
I have a very brief understanding of it.
Okay, so I guess I will jump ahead to Mitch. What is your experience with Halo?
This might surprise you, but I actually have played every Halo campaign except for ODST and 5.
So one of the best ones and one of the worst ones. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I vividly remember as a kid, I don't remember the story worth a damn, but playing through Halo 1 and Halo 2 at my friend's house, neighbor across the street, big old Duke controller.
Oh, hell
man.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, we were rocking the Duke back in the day. Played through both those campaigns co-op, which was a blast. Halo 3, actually, no. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I started the campaign of Halo 3 recently through the xCloud beta on my phone. I beat maybe the first level. I will get back to it. I will let you guys know what I think about that as I play through it on my phone slowly as Carmen takes over the TV.
I'm very excited. That is.
And I picked up I've never been an Xbox guy, but I owned an Xbox 360 late in the console generation because I had a friend that was so sure that Halo 4 was going to be the next great thing. It was going to be the reason to own this box. It was going to be something that nothing was ever going to compare to the multiplayer experience. And he was fucking wrong. That game was broken as shit. The campaign sucked. Multiplayer barely worked. It was super skewed towards people that had played this game for years. And I'm sitting here as a noob like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
It's a good thing they brought it all around with Halo 5.
No, they didn't. Halo Reach was fine.
Halo 5's fine.
Yeah, we'll
but
get
yeah,
into
so
all of that. But that's
I've
actually
I've dabbled in the
surprising.
series, and I'm honestly genuinely surprised when I thought back on how much I'd played it. That yeah, I've been relative. Like another interesting story I have. So in high school, in our programming course, you'd finish your assignments, and then you could just goof off on the computer. I sat with the kids that played Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and StarCraft when we got time to goof off. Yeah.
MVC2.
And then there was the other group of guys that was just playing Halo the whole time. And I don't know how they got a copy of Halo for PC and installed it on a school computer.
Oh, I had
they
that
goddamn
in my
did
high
it.
school. There were people
yeah.
who did that in my high school as well.
Hell yeah.
All right.
So yeah, that's my
Cozy-
history with Halo.
Cozy, you mentioned it very, very briefly, but just kind of give us a little bit more of what your overall experience is if it goes any deeper than what you've already said.
I really don't have much to say. I played Halo 3 multiplayer at a friend's house a couple of times, and honestly, that's about it. So the thing is that originally, when I was planning out my streaming plans for 2020, I had plans to basically make it so that every single month I would marathon through an entire video game series from front to back. So, for example, in January, I decided I'm going to play through every single game in the Half-Life series. I enjoy that series quite a bit, but once I came out of it on the other side, I was like, I don't want to do this for the rest of the year. I want to play more games. I want to play things that I actually really want to play. However, I still have plans to play through the entire Halo series when I get my Xbox Series X when it comes out at the end of the year. And so, yeah, I'm basically kind of waiting on that. I'm aware that I can play any game in the Halo series right now by just obviously purchasing any of the currently available Xbox platforms or just on my PC. But I would rather wait for the new console.
That's probably a very good way to experience it all, and they'll all be ready on Series X when
yeah,
it does
like that's my assumption, is that like 1 through 5 plus 6, aka Infinite, will all be there ready to go.
Yeah,
I mean, presumably anything that's what's their whole deal of buying it
Smart
once, play it
delivery?
everywhere? No, play everywhere,
Oh,
right?
okay, right, yeah.
Assuming most of those titles are going to
Play
be forward.
anywhere.
I mean, everything like the Xbox Series X will be backwards compatible, so you can always just buy a copy of Master Chief Collection through it, presumably.
Mm-hmm.
But even just playing through it in the xCloud beta, I've had a blast with some of the multiplayer. I started ODST and it's really dark on my phone, so I said forget it and jumped into Halo 3 at Alex's recommendation, and I enjoyed like the first level. I bumped the difficulty down just because it's on my phone. Mm-hmm. And it's been fun, so I'm looking forward to just goofing off with that when I've got time on the couch when Cartman's commandeered the TV.
Okay, so AJ, this is gonna be a very two-sided conversation.
It sounds that way.
Yeah, from
I
what
will have things to say, goddammit, just not related to plot or story or character or most of it.
we kind of knew that going in a little bit. AJ, before I go on my huge sort of ramble, what is your experience with the Halo franchise? Please take us away.
I first eventually got into the Halo series in about 2004 when I finally got access to an Xbox, because I was 14 at the time, didn't have money, couldn't do it myself. I was also a GameCube kid. But that that sort of set the framework for like how I would my taste in games would evolve from then on, and Halo became easily like an instant classic and an instant love of mine, to the point where, not to spoil future episodes of the podcast, I went to the midnight launch for Halo 2, and I went to the midnight launch for Halo 3 as well. I technically bought 2 copies of Halo Reach. One is the big Legendary Collector's Edition of Halo Reach with the big statue with the 5 of Noble Team on it, and the Xbox 360 Halo Reach Edition, because I had an original launch Xbox 360 somehow that many years after launch, still running, and I knew I needed a new one, so I dropped the money on both of those things. And ODST I loved and enjoyed. I don't forgive the flaws of 343 and Halo 4 and Halo 5, but I don't dislike them the way everybody else seems to. Just briefly, my biggest issues with it are they made too much of the story stuff trapped in novels outside of the game itself, and that's like my biggest issue. Otherwise, like, there are parts of the story and everything that I'm really down with. But yeah, gameplay wise, it's what determined for me that Xbox got it right with the thumbstick layout. Nathan?
That's incorrect assessment. But anyways, it's okay to be wrong, AJ. It's okay.
Anyway.
Well, I fully agree with AJ on the use of the thumbsticks on the Xbox controller, and also claw method is the only way to play first-person shooters, in case anyone was wondering. So I guess it's time for me to... The claw method is great. It gives your hands carpal tunnel very, very fast, but it's
maybe
great,
that's why I didn't continue with it.
You're instantly better.
Maybe
at the
that's
game.
why I'm struggling playing Halo, because I'm not playing like that, and I'm having issues with the phone grip and the controller. It's fingers are touching when they shouldn't be.
So I'm super into Halo. I think we stated this in the show, but just in
too.
case you guys, Halo is not just a game series for me, but it was my intro into all the things that in some way, shape, or form, I can relate everything that I am, every value that I hold as a person, I can relate it back to my experiences with Halo. I am you know that Wikipedia game where like you have one topic and you have to try to get to another one in like 10 clicks? I can do that with Halo and anything. I genuinely believe that.
I have a quick question. How disappointed are you that Cortana integration in Windows 10 is so bad and flawed that it's not the default technology assistant that we have?
Didn't they remove her? I thought they removed Cortana.
You
from
can
Windows
still
10.
activate her. You can.
No, I thought she ditched you in one of the games because there was some issue with viruses and fucking corrupted
No,
AI
she's gone
and all
rampant.
this stuff.
That's the thing.
She's the bad guy, right?
Yeah. She becomes the bad guy, I think.
5.
I heard she was a bad
Halo
guy.
5 Guardians.
I never played 5.
Yeah. But
I
yeah,
need cliff notes.
Halo is like my favorite. It is genuinely my first memory playing video games. It was driving around the Warthog on Halo. Halo has just always been this thing in my life that it got me into, and yeah, the story is not like the deepest thing ever, but it got me into wanting to explore story. It got me into it. It allowed me to build friendships while I was in school. I was not good at making friends, but you know what I was good at? Playing Halo, and I was able to relate to other people being like, oh, ODST just came out, let's play Firefight, and it allowed me to build friendships that I had at the time. And so like, and all of like my interest in story came from Halo. Then it went to Red vs. Blue, which was directly made because of Halo. And then from there, it impacted the way that I wanted to pursue what I want to do in life. I want to be able to tell stories and be able to be a part of that industry. And I think I can fully relate that back to both Rooster Teeth and Red vs. Blue and Halo. So Halo.
Did you discover Kind of Funny through
Rooster Teeth?
Teeth?
So I met you guys. I met you guys through Rooster Teeth, then through Halo, then through so it's like I can relate every single thing in my life back to Halo in some way, shape, or form.
We'd have one fewer hosts.
It's that fundamental to me. I love this game franchise, and there's so much about it that is like, I keep saying it's so important to me, and that's why I really wanted to do this episode. Was mostly I just wanted to tell you guys that. More than anything, like I love the games. Yeah, like it really does. And I want to, like, at some point, I know that everyone has a thing like this for them. It might not be like, it might be different in the way that people like perceive it, but there is some franchise or something that people hold that dearly to them. And I want to know what your guys are at some point, because I like seeing what people are passionate about. I've played all the games. I love them. And yeah, I've grew up with them, and I continue to play them to this day as they get released on Master Chief Collection.
I'm really hoping as the show progresses that we'll each get to do a video game rehab for this series that means the most to each of us. And I think then, Alex, to your point, we can have that passionate discussion about the thing that got us interested in gaming in the first place.
Yeah, because you guys have let me have pretty much both of mine now, which I genuinely really appreciate.
You just seem to really like this format of talking about one thing for a very long time.
Yeah, I can.
You'd make a good YouTuber.
I'm trying.
No, don't be a YouTuber. Be a podcaster with us, goddammit. You're too talented. If we lose you, I don't know what we would do.
But yeah, so I want to just start, I guess, with one thing about the Halo games, and I'm going to go straight into the gameplay, because I think the gameplay is really important to discuss why it started off such a strong franchise, why it was so good, and why people have problems with 4 and 5. And the biggest thing I would talk about is Halo has a 3-pillar system. It's weapons, grenades, and melee. And every game since Halo 2, they've tried to introduce a new pillar, a 4th one. In Halo 3, it was the equipment. So across the map, you could pick up new things like a bubble shield, and you'd have like this one-time use equipment that you could throw down, and it would do a different thing, whether it be like active camouflage, it could be a mine, it could be a flare, it could be like a bunch of different things. And in Halo Reach, they introduced armor locks, or armor abilities, where This is where they introduced sprinting, and sprinting is very controversial in Halo.
That's why it was optional in Halo Reach, because they were really testing the waters there.
Yes.
I really wish it was there in all the games, because playing through Halo 3 without it feels like a slog.
Yeah.
Ooh, no, that is the wrong opinion right there. Sprint.
I don't care.
Sprint
I'm allowed
ruins
to
Halo.
have the wrong opinion. I
when
like
they
sprinting in
remastered,
games.
Yeah,
when they remastered some of the earlier Halo games, did they reintroduce like sprinting as
No.
like an optional feature?
They don't touch any of the mechanics of the games.
Yeah, it's only graphical enhancements when they do that.
Which, playing through the first Halo remastered on the 360 and just being able to instantaneously jump between the retro and the remaster was very cool.
Yeah.
Yes, that is
Surprised
such
more
a-
remasters haven't done that, but
Yeah, I love, and like the fact that the music also, it changes from the classic soundtrack to the updated soundtrack, and the updated soundtrack is still good, but the classic soundtracks for Halo they are some of the best soundtracks in any game ever.
Still
Marty
to this day,
O'Donnell.
they still hold up.
Marty O'Donnell is one of the best game composers of all time.
Yes.
And just the iconic nature of every single one of the soundtracks he's worked on. You can it's incredible, and each of them have a different tone to them. Like Halo 2 is more like rock and metal, and Halo 3 ODST is more jazz. It's so cool how versatile they are while still keeping in the same tone. But yeah, so going back to the pillars, Halo 4 introduced more armor abilities, but they made sprint a permanent piece of the equation, which in my opinion is just wrong. As well, one of the biggest things that people don't like about Halo 4, including myself, is they tried to appeal to the Call of Duty crowd, and by that being in the multiplayer, they introduced loadouts where instead of the best, Halo is an arena shooter through and through, where everyone starts with the same weapons and abilities, and it's all about map control and trying to control power weapons. And with Halo 4, they completely threw that out the window. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I dislike that game. And Halo 5, they decided to add more Spartan abilities, where they added more mobility as long as keeping sprint, and you could have jump jets and you can climb stuff, and it just continues adding more and more mobility, which I just feel like is unneeded. And one of the biggest things I would say about that is the map design fundamentally changes because of, this is getting really into the weeds, by the way.
That's fine.
that's what we expected.
The map design completely changes because of having these abilities and having sprint. Maps need to get bigger to be able to accommodate having sprinting, to be able to move faster, and so the maps are actually bigger. And in Halo 3, where there's no sprinting, like, because maps get remade in all of the games, and in Halo 3, a game where you don't have sprinting, you can get around the map a lot faster. You can get to different points in the same map versus in Halo 5, where you have all of these abilities, which theoretically you should be faster. And that's one of the things that I think is a problem with the 343 games.
Can I ask a somewhat nerdy and spoilerific question about the story of Halo 4?
Do it. Spoilers ahead, everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so even though I haven't played any of these games, I still do keep up with the story because, like all of you, I like to read nerdy lore stuff. Mm-hmm. And, previously in the Halo series, it was explained that a lot of the technological marvels that are explored in these games were created by a race of aliens called the Forerunners. And up until the release of Halo 4, the Forerunners weren't really seen directly. And then in Halo 4, they introduce a Forerunner who you are in direct conflict with, and a lot of like the mystery is sort of rubbed away. Mm-hmm. And I want to know, like, how do you personally feel about that, and how did the rest of the Halo community feel about that? Were they like, oh wow, it's really cool that we're getting to be properly introduced to the Forerunners, or were they like, it would have been better if they had kept the mystery more alive?
Yeah, so I'll just be real quick, and then I'll let you jump into it, Alex.
Go for it.
I think I hold a generally the same opinion when it comes to that section of it. Specifically, like, the Forerunners were such a cool idea, but they didn't implement it properly, because anything that anybody could ever know about them is all contained in the books. just out of nowhere, suddenly, oh, there's this Forerunner guy, and he's a bad guy. See, like, oh, have fun, chasing him down. And like, what? At some point in Halo 4, you meet like the librarian, and and it's just like a big 10-minute lore dump. Like not even in a good like Metal Gear Solid kind of lore dump way. It's just oh, this happened, and then this happened because this, so we're gonna do that, and then you need to stop this guy because he's a bad guy and he wants this. Go. And it's just like, okay, I'm just gonna follow the linear path, I guess.
Halo 4 has a big problem when it comes to just the way that they decided to tell their story and all of these things. And I think the librarian is one of the biggest problems in that game, because she's, like you said, a lore dump character who inexplicably comes into the series, and then also like one of the biggest things is like she evolves Master Chief's DNA so that he becomes a new form of human, so that he can't, it's to explain the MacGuffin of the Didac, who is the villain, which is also a very dumb character, to explain what he can do, and then as well make it so, oh, okay, he's a real threat to everyone but you. He can insta-kill everyone and makes him a big bad threat, except for Master Chief, because Master Chief can't just die instantly.
From the chat, are you sure you're not just reading fan fiction, Alex?
Oh,
because that's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like they went way off the rails with all of these later Halo games, and need to just get back to what Halo was at its core, or just forget about it. Just end the series. Figure out a way to finish it off.
Yeah, I have a big problem with Halo 4, more than 5, honestly. And the reason why 5 is bad is because it had to follow up Halo 4. But I think fundamentally the biggest problem with Halo 4 and its storytelling is the way that they handle Master Chief. Master Chief is a vessel for the player. I'm more than positive. Like, he is a vessel for the player. He gets to have these cool one-liners, and that's about it. He doesn't really have a character. And the end of Halo 3 and the start of Halo 4, Master Chief is essentially the same person, because he goes into cryo sleep, so he doesn't get to have a character arc. I actually have this really cool video idea that I've been working on that I wanted to... The beginning of God of War... Like, God of War does what Halo 4 should have, in the sense of the way that they take this character who is a legacy character who has this very ingrained personality, and they slowly change him throughout the course of the game, instead of... Because the biggest thing is Master Chief doesn't talk unless he needs to. He says what he needs to say, and that's about it. But at the beginning of Halo 4, he says more words in the beginning of Halo 4 than he does for the entire first mission of the first Halo game. He says more words in the first 15 seconds of that game than he does in the entire first mission of Halo. It's just, I think that they didn't understand what made Master Chief cool, and so they just kind of went from there. And I like the idea of making Master Chief more of a character, make him have this relationship with Cortana, but they jumped the gun on it too much, and you could tell that they were kind of just rushing into Halo head on instead of actually like properly developing this story.
Do you think any of this can have to do with the fact that it did transition from being a Bungie title to 343?
Oh, 100%.
Because I feel like when you have a group come to a property that they're fans of themselves, they've probably been thinking and dreaming of years of what they would do with the character, with the story, with the worlds, with all of it, with the narrative. Do you think it's just a case of overindulging into some of this fan fiction-y level of storytelling, and they really should try to just figure out what makes Halo work fundamentally and get back to that?
Didn't a lot of the original Halo Bungie people, like Frank O'Connor, and a bunch of other people, like just transition over to 343 because they still wanted to keep making Halo while Bungie went on to make Destiny?
Yeah, there was a good amount of people from original.
There's like
Bungie
a very good amount of people.
Yeah, but then
who did that?
Yeah, but like then it was still kind of, I think Halo 4 was also very rushed as well, because they formed the studio in 2011. No, it might have been 2010, right as Bungie was finishing Reach, and then immediately, like 2 years later, they put out Halo 4. And so Halo 4 was also very much rushed, and I think it was kind of a test bed to see what 343 could do. And I think like what AJ was saying, it feels like what the Star Wars problem is that they just kind of leaned way too heavily in the lore, and they kind of just forgot what made these stories special in a lot of ways. They kind of they indulged themselves too much in pulling from the extended lore that clearly they're all fans of, but they didn't think about how do we actually tell this story in a way that makes it not just entertaining as well as can be deep in this lore.
Yeah, like I said a couple times, the stuff that's like contained in the books, they just tried to like condense it all down into one big lore dump and then put it into Halo 4. I think personally, like develop Master Chief as a character. That's fine. You know, I can still continue my love for the game and stuff like that through the character of the Master Chief. It doesn't necessarily have to be me in that regard. And like, I think if they had stuck to like maybe the story of Halo 5 where, spoilers, Cortana has finally gone into full rampancy and has become the villain of the story, but put that into Halo 4, maybe that would have been a better direction to go with the entire trilogy. But I'm not exactly sure how you would necessarily do that earlier, because in order to get to that point, you need that one big moment at the very end of Halo 4 with Master Chief and Cortana. And so, you know the one I'm talking about. I don't want to spoil too much if I don't have to, but
it's that moment. Like the Cortana story in Halo 4 is the only part of that game that I genuinely believe is worth anything. I think the rest of that game can be completely thrown out. Every aspect of it, not just the story, but the game itself. It's not a good Halo game. It was trying to be Call of Duty, and I don't know, which is so weird and is so strange, because Halo 5 has a very similar problem where the story sucks, and it's because they had to try to follow up with what they did in Halo 4. As well, they also just completely false advertised what the game was going to be about, which is a very, like, there were all of those trailers that came out about Halo 5 Guardians that was going to be your like hunt for the Master Chief and all of that, and almost none of that actually panned out.
Well,
so
go ahead, Cozy.
Sorry, I haven't been talking 10 minutes and I'm beginning to split apart.
Sorry.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
Explode, my sir.
The TV series or YouTube series, or there was a series,
Halo Legends.
There was Forward Unto Dawn, which was
was also a
live
action.
The first season of the podcast is very good. Yes. They screwed it up. Hunt the Truth, I believe it was called.
Yeah.
Second,
I'm just referring to the live action series.
Oh yeah, there was a Nightfall.
Forward Unto Dawn.
Yeah.
It was
Nightfall with
Nightfall.
Yeah, it was the guy who played. It was Mike Coulter who played Luke Cage. He played Locke. He also is the face for Locke.
How did you feel about that series, and do you feel like watching that series makes Halo 5 more palatable?
I feel like the budget for that series got cut really quickly for some reason.
There was some
Xbox
cool ideas in it, like the hunter worms. You actually get to see those, because one of the iconic enemies from the Covenant are like these bundle of worms that form this sentient being that's supposed to be like covered in armor. It's supposed to be one of like the heavies, and you get to see like the individual worms, if I'm not mistaken. It's been so long since I've seen it, because I've kind of tried to Locke is such a lame character that I kind of tried to block a lot of the stuff out from him.
That game would have been great if they had taken the Locke side of things out and it was just you following Blue Team.
The fact that Blue Team, you only play as them through maybe not even a third of this 5-hour long campaign is like the game is absurdly short.
You're split between these two teams, and it's not even split 50-50. You're playing less time as the Master Chief, the Halo guy, the Halo man. You're playing less time as him than you are playing as the people you don't
That
really
seems like
care
a
about.
problem.
Yeah, literally, there's one person, and it's Nathan Fillion on.
Yeah.
What was his team called? I don't even remember.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But yeah, like
cares?
Nathan Fillion is the only character on that team, and it's because he appeared in one of the Bungie games, or two of them, I guess.
Can I make a couple of points?
Go for it.
Go for it.
First, where is the Steven Spielberg Halo series?
Who knows? It
Talk
kind
to
of just
Steven Spielberg.
it literally just disappeared into the ether.
Secondly, to fact check a little bit from earlier in the history of 343, they were founded in 2007 when Bungie announced their
okay.
independence from Microsoft. They didn't actually
okay.
start developing on the series until
They took over, I think, in 2011 when they stopped.
so they took over servers and data in March 31st of 2012.
Oh,
They began development on Halo 4 in 2009, and that released in September of 2012. So roughly 3 years of development, where in that time they also released Halo Waypoint and worked on the Halo Legend, the Halo Legends anime series, as well as hiring a bunch of developers from Pandemic Studios when they went under. And they worked on the remastered version of Halo Combat Evolved, which released in 2011. So they were doing a lot of stuff at the same time before they released Halo 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a little bit give them a little bit more credit than I.
Looks like we might have some more updates on this Halo series.
Oh, what's
really?
your
Monarchy in the Twitch chat saying it looks like we might see it in 2021.
Right, because I remember they were doing casting for it, and there was a lot of controversy over the Commander Keyes casting because he's black now in the show. Which, like, okay, who cares? It seems like the guy that I remember there was like this weird controversy about it, but
Yeah, so it was originally announced in 2013 that 343 would be working on a live-action TV series with being produced by Steven Spielberg, and it is now scheduled to release in early 2021, according to Deadline in August of 2019.
I would watch it. I hope that it could be good because there is a lot to the Halo lore that is super interesting. I think it would all depend on where they would pick it up. One of the biggest problems that I've had with the story of Halo 4 and Halo 5 is, though the Covenant are in it, they're not really in the forefront because 343 wants to try to push their new character or their new enemy faction, where the Covenant are kind of almost perfect in like they've got the grunts, you got the jackals, and you got the elites, and the elites are just kind of like the definitive main antagonists.
Yeah, so the issue that you kind of run into with the Covenant is they've been there for every single Halo game, right?
Yeah.
Because they're perfect. They're the definitive Halo enemy, but then it's like it's a double-edged sword because like you need to introduce something new. You need to change it up. But how do you do that?
And they tried doing that in Halo 3 with the Brutes.
But the Brutes were really just glorified elites.
Yeah.
And they were different in they had different AI patterns, but they were a little more run at you straightforward rather than tactically hiding behind cover or like the elites would. But you know, you have to change something up, and like it's very difficult to do that when you already have what is theoretically the perfect combat enemy in a game like that.
So I want to steer this conversation now that we went hard in what Halo is as of right now. I do want to start to steer it towards Halo Infinite, because Halo Infinite is supposed to come out this year. It is supposed to debut with the Xbox Series X. That is what Microsoft has continuously said. Who knows if that's going to pan out? I'm still a little skeptical, but I feel like it kind of needs to. It needs to come out with the Series X.
Can I say I'm not skeptical it's going to release with the Series X. I think we're getting towards more game announcements and game reveals happening closer when the game's going to launch, which I'm actually more of a fan of. Hold on to the details of the game until we get closer to launch. Don't announce it 3 years out like they did with Halo Infinite. Do something
Yeah.
like what Assassin's Creed is doing. They announced the game in June. They're probably going to show it off in July or in May. What month is it? It's May. So they announced the game in May. They're going to show it off in July, and it's going to come out in the fall.
Not to complete. It's tangentially related, but Bethesda recently, like in the last couple of days, went through this very similar thing where, like 2 years ago now, they just put up a title screen and said, "Hey, Elder Scrolls 6, yes, we're working on it. You guys can shut up now. We're
That was a
working on it."
mistake.
That in itself was a mistake because, oh, hey, you said the thing. What's happening with it? And then they had to come out. I'm forgetting the man's
Pete
name.
Hines.
Pete Hines,
Hines,
yeah.
He had to come out and address it directly to a fan, which I'm really a big fan of this kind of interaction. Was just like, hey, listen, we're doing Starfield first, and we're going to do that first. Elder Scrolls will come after, but don't.
I did have this
relax.
pulled as a news article to put into the doc and decided not to, but it naturally came up in conversation. But I do feel like we're getting to a point where announce your game closer to release. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Don't announce it, hold on to it for 3.5 years, and then show it off.
Yeah.
So I don't have any doubts Halo Infinite's going to come out and probably be very good, if not great. But it would have been better if they held on to that. And imagine if they hadn't announced Halo Infinite in July. We get the first party reveal of all the major Microsoft Game Studios games coming to Xbox Series X, and they drop a Halo Infinite gameplay trailer and say, day one, here's the launch date of the Series X. Here's when Halo Infinite's coming at the same time. Wouldn't that just have blown your apps? Like, it would have blown your mind.
Yeah.
It would have. I do have to say, though, the original trailer for Halo Infinite did blow my mind. When they showed it, at first, it wasn't clear exactly what game it was. Then you're kind of like, oh, is this Halo? This kind of is starting to look like Halo. And then it's the pullback onto the Master Chief helmet, and it's the original art style of Master Chief's helmet. I remember at that E3, I was yelling with pure joy. Yes, I've had to wait 2 years before even having still seen nothing of the game, but that trailer was very, very well executed. I still even think that the Discover Hope trailer from last year was really, really well done. It sets I think more than anything, that trailer has set the tone of what 343 is going to be going for, and I think it all with the name Discover Hope. And I'm really hoping that that's what the sort of the view that 343 is going at with making this game.
So, on the subject of names and rehabilitation, what is the purpose behind calling this game Halo Infinite? Is this something that they've kind of publicly discussed? Are they trying to, call it something that's not 6 because, research has shown that people are less likely to go into a series for the first time if it has a very long number at the end of it? Or are they trying to signal this is like the part of a new saga? More than just that?
It's probably a mix of all that, but also in Halo 4, the human freighter ship frigate ship that you kind of reside on is called the Infinity.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And and like even to the point where the multiplayer got kind of rebranded in a lore way as a training exercise, and it was your typical deathmatch in Halo is called Slayer, and it just all got rebranded to like Infinity Slayer, and that carried on into Halo 5 as well.
So why not call it Infinity?
I do believe that I'm not sure why they specifically chose Infinite versus Infinity, but I do believe that this is to show, especially hardcore fans, this is kind of a soft reboot in a lot of ways. It's going to still technically take place after Halo 5 Guardians, and you know that because you see the Halo ring that if you beat Halo 5 Guardians on Legendary, you see that Halo ring with like the big hole in it. You see it at the end of the game, but it's showing, we're doing something new with this. This isn't what came before. This is something new. At least that's what I'm hoping with.
Is it expected that most of this campaign will be you playing as Master Chief, or do you think that it's going to be very split up and segmented?
I'm hoping it's Master Chief. The fact that they've only been showing him.
It has to be.
The fact that they've only been showing him, they got so much feedback with playing as whatever that team was with Locke on it.
Over the Osiris.
Oh,
so,
yeah, that's it.
That was locked away somewhere back there, and it just
Fire Team Osiris. Yeah, that was it.
No, it over the years since the game came out, it sounds like they have been very receptive. Like, for example, think back to Halo. Like, even if you haven't played a lot of it, one of the things you think of Halo is, like, especially classic Halo, is the old-fashioned bring your Xbox and a TV over to your friend's place and have a LAN party with a whole bunch of people, hook 16 Xboxes up, right? It's a moment that you think about with Halo. In Halo 5, there was no split screen for the first time ever in a Halo game.
Yeah.
Because now they did say it was because they were prioritizing frame rate and they wanted to make sure that experience was consistent on the Xbox One for everybody. But at the same time, you could not have a split screen moment where you just hand somebody a controller and just play the game for fun like you used to. Like, they took so much of what made Halo out of it.
Yeah, split screen was always such a big part of those games for me because I always played Halo and Halo 2 with my bigger brother, and we would do like the 1v1s, like, and because I never played Halo 1 and Halo 2 on, well, Halo 1 you couldn't play, but Halo 2 on Xbox Live, I would only be playing against him, or we would be playing the campaign in co-op. There was so many things, and it then did go into the other games as well, but that's always been such a huge part of Halo's identity that it very much lost.
I also, we got to write in on Twitter, and you can write into any of our shows at twitter.com/Press YYZ if you have anything you want to add. We usually tweet out the topic of the show in advance, so you have a chance to interact with us. Monarchy, who's been a staple tonight, writes in about his fond memories of Halo Reach with friends back in the early to mid 2010s. Favorite memory, like similar to yours, Alex, was 1v1s with a friend's little brother. Melee only, 7 wood, which is a giant golf club melee weapon. Would win 11-1, and that kid would get pissed and accused him of cheating, and it was just good times.
Yeah. The I got to admit, the custom games in Halo, like, we're kind of going back to, but the custom games in Halo 3
it's
and
your
Halo
conversation.
Reach,
do what you want with it.
The custom games in Halo 3 and Halo Reach, and this kind of goes into what Monarchy was talking about, were some of the most in-depth customizations that you could have. You could change so many details about those games. You could change how every player's health was. You could change the gravity. You could change weapons. You could change, and the fact that Forge was in the game, and Forge, for those who might be unaware, is a tool that you could do where you could make your own custom maps, and you can add so many details, whether it be environments or like objects in the environment. You can add where weapons are, and you can add structures. There was so much to it that games now don't even have, and Halo 3 was so ahead of its time when it came out.
Absolutely.
It still kind of is. The fact that, I'm sorry, I gotta just say, the theater mode in Halo 3 is still something I never see in games at all these days. The fact that it would save your game data to a point where you could literally view matches from every possible angle. It wasn't just locked to whatever your perspective was. It was literally, you could see you can see something from every single possible angle, and you can completely change the camera. It was one of the most interesting things I've ever seen in a multiplayer game that just, it's nowhere to be found now.
We
have an entire genre that wouldn't exist without that mode.
Yeah.
Like, machinima as content would not exist. Twitch streaming probably wouldn't exist if it weren't for Halo having theater mode and people creating these bootleg DVD or VHSs of their Halo gameplay and just sending it out to friends and stuff. That was the original Let's Play.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
No, to think, Rooster Teeth and RVB did that without a theater mode, too, which inspired the theater mode, so people could do that more easily, and then it just sort of fizzled out and disappeared.
Yeah.
I was still kind of amazed. I remember one time walking into a DVD Blu-ray store and seeing like a Blu-ray of Red vs. Blue on a shelf.
Literally all of them over there.
Wow.
I have all of them on Blu-ray. But also, another thing that I loved about Halo 3 was specifically the way you could share every single thing about that game to other players as long as you had a hard drive associated with your Xbox 360, you could save game modes, you could save screenshots, you could save video files, and then these video files people could view from other angles as well. There's so much about it. You could save you could save maps, you could save game modes. There's so much about Halo 3 that just is, I feel like, is missing. There's so many community features that are completely missing. But one thing I really wanted to highlight, and one thing that makes me very confident in 343's ability, is last year they announced for the Master Chief Collection for Xbox One that legacy Halo 3 and Halo Reach Forge and custom games maps could be transferred to the Xbox One, which I didn't think was ever possible. And the fact that they made an effort to actually do that and to allow people to have that legacy stuff to be able to be brought into the most recent versions of the games is something that nobody was asking for, nobody thought was even possible. And the fact that 343 did it makes me hopeful that they're listening.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that they're listening to that sort of stuff too, but I hope they take a step back to do it correctly, because we don't need another Master Chief Collection launch to happen again. That is, like, in overall rehab talk, video game rehab talk, like, that's what they need to do first. One step at a time. Don't rush it out the door, because we have to do this thing. Like, they were in a real bad situation, because that came out in 2014, which was a year after the Xbox One launched, which was about 6 months after the whole TV debacle of that E3.
They're still recovering from that.
They still have yet to recover. They have turned the ship around.
Trying.
They've got their foot on the gas, and then, they just accidentally, fell and ate shit this last week. But then, I'm sure they're gonna pick themselves up and continue moving forward. But
yeah, Tim Geddes from the Kinda Funny Games cast made the best possible. Yeah, I know, fucking nobody. He made the best point about Halo.
Where's good underwear though?
Oh yeah. But he made the best possible point about the mentality that Microsoft and 343 must be having with this game, is because Halo used to be the king. It used to be the king of first-person shooters. It used to be the Xbox game, and now it's only really the only people who think of it still like that are people like me who have that legacy memories of it, where Microsoft and 343 need to be looking at this game like this needs to be the definitive Halo game. Otherwise, Halo's finished. But Halo won't be able to recover from that. It needs to be that masterpiece that Halo 2 was, that masterpiece that Halo 3 was. And I feel like if they deliver anything less, and maybe that's just me setting the expectations way too high for myself, but I'm fully aware that I'm kind of doing that. But I feel like they need to know how important this game is for the future of this franchise.
I've been pretty quiet. I've got a question for you. Do we need a Halo right now, or does it need to sit dormant long? Because you're talking a lot about what this needs to be right now, and maybe do we need a Halo right now, or do they need a new IP and give Halo a longer break?
See, this is kind of the amount of time between Halo 5 Guardians and Halo Infinite has been the same amount of time since God of War Ascension to God of War. And I feel like Halo Infinite needs to be like God of War, I think. And I feel like it's been long enough, and the way that they've shown that this game, I don't know. Maybe I'm just so hopeful about it that I can't think of not having it.
Rose-tinted glasses.
I could see and I think it's hard for me to think about it like that, just because I've known about this game for the last 2 years and I've been anticipating it for so long that I can't think of Halo not being on the forefront of my most anticipated games.
And I think that's part of the problem, honestly, is they announced it too far out. Yeah. Right? It gave you time to set unrealistic expectations, whereas we've had other games come out since then. You've had a revolution in the genre with the Battle Royale game type, and we do see that. I mean, right now, the current king of shooters is Call of Duty Warzone, I would say. I don't think anything else tops it right now. So my question for you, do you think Halo brings the Battle Royale?
Yeah. Could they do it?
Could
think
they do it?
There's
Probably. Should they do
there's-
it is my question.
Ooh, I don't know. I think they could do something kind of cool. Like the fact that the Halo ODST drop pods, that could be the way you enter the map. That could be really cool. A huge Halo map. One of the things is Halo already kind of has some of the DNA of a battle royale in the sense that it's everyone starts with the same things and it's all about map control. Though with battle royales, it's kind of randomized of what spawns where, but I still think that there's still some of that DNA in there. I would be interested. I hope that they wouldn't be focusing hardcore on it, but I would be open to it. I wouldn't immediately say this isn't Halo, get it out of here. I would definitely I would be open to it because I hope that it's not the priority. I hope that they don't try to make it the priority for Halo when it clearly isn't, because that didn't work last time when they tried to focus on the class-based systems of Call of Duty in Halo 4. I just let Halo be Halo, and anything else you add on top, have a good Halo game first, and anything you add on top of that is just extra.
It's just gravy at that point,
Yeah.
I have one final question for the night.
All right.
Earlier, we brought up God of War 2018. We've talked about how Master Chief's character in Halo 4 is kind of a far cry from the character he was in Halo 1 through 3. Do we think that Halo can exist without Master Chief? Do you think that the series can transition over to a new main character, and do you think that this would benefit it?
I think it's possible. I mean, Halo Wars, for what it was good. Halo Reach didn't. It had the faceless main protagonist that was you.
Same thing with ODST as well.
Yeah, same thing with ODST. So it is possible. I would be interested in seeing something, kind of along those lines where, let me be in the game again, but let me fight, alongside a Spartan as a regular ass human dude and see what happens from there, even for a level. Let me see what that looks like. Give me a taste of that. I want to see that sort of difference. If it's to go that direction and be different enough, that's kind of how I would want it to go.
I think the best example of something like that in a game now is actually in Titanfall 2. At the beginning of Titanfall 2, you're just kind of a regular ass dude, and it's not very long into the game before you get all the jump gear of a pilot, but it still is kind of it lets you at least experience what it was like before you had this, and now you have these new abilities, you have this new way of playing the game. And so if they did do that with Halo, that could be interesting. But I do believe that, like what AJ was saying, I do believe that you could have a Halo game without Master Chief. I think don't do the Halo 5 approach where you kind of have him in a little bit. It's either you got to go, if he's in the game, he's got to be the main focus. If he's not in the game, then bring something new. And I think one of the biggest things about ODST and Reach was that all the supporting characters around Noble Six and the Rookie were interesting.
Yeah, you have that. It's either all of the Chief or none of the Chief. But when there's none of the Chief, the parts that are for example, Halo, the comparison you can make with Halo Reach is the story wise. This isn't qualitative, Nathan. It's the Rogue One to A New Hope.
Right.
Except it's good.
Right. That's how it fits in.
Rogue One is a good movie. God damn it!
Rogue
All right,
One's
guys,
good, but I'm not going to get into it.
sidelined.
But yeah, no, you have that, and then you have ODST where he's not in it, but it takes place during a big moment in Halo 2.
Yeah.
So
That'd be fun.
yeah. In a different location, and you see from a different perspective kind of a cutscene from Halo 2, but from a different perspective, and then you're playing the game.
Yeah.
It strikes me that in a perfect universe, 343 Industries might have liked to have had Halo 4 start an entire new protagonist and have this trilogy of games be set up and centered around this protagonist, but the pull to have the series continue starring Master Chief was too great for branding reasons, and they kind of had to go with that. But that's just speculation on my part.
I mean, the Chief is one of the most iconic game characters of all
100%.
time. And unless you're putting another character in that same suit, it's not going to have the same impact culturally if that game comes out without Master Chief being involved. But I think Nate in the chat, I just want to say Nate in the chat has it totally perfect. Halo Infinite, it's going to be a game as a service. That's why it's named what it is. It's going to be the only Halo game you get for the next 15 years. And you're going to love it, Alex, goddammit.
I mean, I'm really into Destiny right now, so, maybe.
It's possible.
Can I make a Halo pitch as somebody who's never played a Halo game?
Do it.
Of course,
Okay. What about a spin-off game where it's called Halo the Master Chef, and it's a dating sim / chef simulator where you go on dates and you make food with your dates.
What
like
kind of
every
food?
type of food. You experiment with many different types of food.
I was going to say, you're saying 343 is going to give us the Cooking Mama game we cannot get?
You get the Cooking Mama, you get some dating simulator
down.
action in there. Master Chief can hook up with a few ladies or men. We don't know. Oh, do we know? Does he just like computerized robot programs? Is there other things out there? So he can he can explore all the different things that he could explore. Aliens. You have different alien food. I mean, this sounds like a win-win-win.
I'm in.
I would love it.
We got to go pitch that to 343.
You put Halo on the box, I'll probably buy it.
Let me talk to Phil Spencer. We'll get him on the phone.
I've got Bonnie Ross on speed dial, and I'm ready. But regardless of what Halo's future is going to be, it's burning, at least in my mind, brighter than ever, at least with my hope for it. And I hope one day we will be able to discover hope in Halo Infinite when it releases in November. But I do want to make the promise, before we wrap the show up completely, is when the Halo Infinite gameplay reveal, whatever it looks like, I will, me and definitely AJ, and anybody else who wants to join us, will do a second helping of what our opinions are going to be, because I want to just talk about
I think at
Halo
that point we'll probably be
forever.
live reacting to the thing.
I'll join you on the cozy cam.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
So look forward to that in July when we see Halo Infinite and all the other Xbox first-party games. But until then, you can follow us on... Well, actually, let's just get to what the next week's episode is going to be. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead a little bit just because
You're
it's
a
so
little
exciting.
sleep deprived.
You're
It's
sleepy,
fine.
dude.
Yeah. So next week, AJ is going to host for the first time ever.
Yay.
And it's going to be about general hype and midnight launches for games in a roundtable discussion. So you can follow us live when we tweet out. If you want to input in the show for next week, you can tweet at us at Press YYZ on Twitter. And
Gmail, it's pressyyz@gmail.com.
Forgot we had a Gmail. And
Because no one uses it.
Is there anything else for YYZ?
Twitch.tv/PressYYZ. You can catch us live recording every Wednesday at 8 Eastern. And thank you to everyone who hung out with us tonight while we recorded. If you don't watch us live and you still want to support the show, just go drop a follow on the show on Twitch. You don't have to watch us, but the follow really does mean a lot. That's, I think, it for the show. Also, Final Fantasy VII Remake spoiler cast is up.
Yes, the Final Fantasy VII spoiler cast is up as well. Thank you for listening. This has been every week when we get to record this show. I'm sorry, I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but I just want to say every week when we
okay.
every
That's why
week
we do
when
it
we
at the
get
end.
to record this show, it means a lot to me, especially right now in the whole circumstances of not having really anything else to kind of be able to stimulate myself. And so I would just want to extend a thank you to everyone who listens to this show and also to my 4 other co-hosts, because this has meant more to me than I could have possibly imagined. So thank you guys.
If you made it this far, thank you.
Absolutely. It's the highlight of my week. Every week, I'm going to look forward to this, whether we're in quarantine or not. You guys mean a lot to me, and having this time to talk. We could be talking to nobody, and I'd still have a blast. I'm glad there are people here.
In fact, we did that for
but
like 3 episodes.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I echo your sentiments completely, Alex.
Yeah. Thank you. And you can follow me on Twitter at blatantly_Alex and on Instagram at blatantlyAlex. Mitch, where can people find you?
Everywhere, Mr. Mitch George, Twitter, Instagram, PSN, GG. If you're on GG, you want to follow my game progress and things, that's another place
Forgot
where
about
I am that user.
Oh, AJ, where can people find you?
You can find me all over the internet at Times Hero, capital T, capital H.
Nathan?
Follow me at _NMAC on Twitter and check me out on PS4blog.net where I do reviews. And as I mentioned earlier, I just went live with Super Mega Baseball 3. My review should have gone up today. It's excellent. Go play it. It's super fun.
And as well, the latest and greatest. Where can people find you, Cozy?
For a second, I was going to be like, latest and greatest. That's
He's
an
really
interesting new
tired.
nickname.
He's super sleepy.
You can follow me on Twitter at Alex Kazina. I'm also going to be streaming on my personal Twitch channel, Cozy Bear Live, in just about 10 minutes. I'm going to be continuing to play through Batman: The Enemy Within, the Telltale game series, and then after that, some more of God of War 2018. Ooh. So please go and check that out.
You're in for a good time on both of those games. And with that, thank you for playing.
Go get some sleep.
Go to bed.
I will try. But
Yeah,
I want to go play Halo.
Please go and get
But
some
you
sleep.
should sleep.
Okay. Bye.